All right, we're live. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn this episode puts the PU in puberty.
3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your two hosts, one of your couple of hosts, one of your duo of hosts, Corey Pepper. I'm here with the lovely Paul Packler. Paul, did you get your hair cut?
I did. Since you saw me last, I think I might have. Yeah.
It's quite trendy and hip.
Thank you. I try. I still try to be trendy and hip.
And succeed most of the time.
At least 65%.
Maybe even a little higher than that. That's not bad. We're sans. What's the other guy's name?
Scoop
Jones.
I like calling him Scoop Rifkin.
Just totally change both of his names.
Yeah.
And if you want to follow Scoop, you can follow him at Follow Scoop. Scoop's in San Francisco, huh?
What made you call him Scoop? Was that autocorrect on your text, or?
It was indeed. That's exactly correct. It was an autocorrect on my text, and I just stayed with it.
Are you spending a lot of time at like the New York Times in the 1930s, or what's why is Scoop on your phone
here? Hey, Mr. White, I got a scoop on everybody.
Little Pep.
And if our audience thinks we're just, when are the two of them just going to dig on into this episode already? You know, I think you just may change your tune pretty damn soon.
We got news for you, folks. We got a scoop for you, folks.
They may just want us nutsing around today, Paul.
Yeah, this is season 6, episode 26, the penultimate season 6 episode. What's it called?
Return of the Native. And I would like to say that this may be the first time in history that the title of an episode refers to what is basically the B plot of the episode.
Yes, it's the framing device, and I don't get it.
It's like, wow, this is the first. I can't recall them ever attempting to weave a B plot into a clip show.
No, honestly, I think this is my favorite clip show of the entire series thus far.
In spite of the fact that it was clearly made 2 seasons ago?
Yeah, if not 3. Whenever Andy Keaton was a baby.
Yeah, we didn't even have Brian Bonsall. Did we even have him in the credits? He was in a bassinet. He was in a little crib.
Yeah, everyone has different haircuts.
Jennifer, what was it? Did Tina Yothers have like a school play or a dance recital that week?
They kept saying, yeah. Why did they get rid of her for this episode?
She shows up the last 2 minutes, and it's Jennifer from 3 seasons ago, which I think we all know is a woman ago.
Yes, yeah, a completely different Jennifer.
Mm-hmm. And a non-existent Andy, which is bizarre considering we had the crux of Brian Bonsall's career. The pinnacle of his career was last week.
And then they upon finding out what a diamond in the rough that they had, they forsook him for this episode.
Completely. And in doing so, they forsook the whole episode. This was, now look, I was enraged. I really was. I kept texting. I was enraged. First of all, I was enraged that it was a clip show and I didn't know about it. Sometimes you guys give me advance warning so that I can try and tamp down my blood pressure.
I honestly wasn't expecting a clip show.
I knew it was the season. And it just didn't occur to me that it was going to be a clip show. Even the possibility existed, especially after last week's very special dramatic episode of Deaf Josh and Andy. And then I was angry on top of it when we got the text from Scott saying, "Oh, I'm in San Francisco on a field trip."
Oh, I didn't even read that part. I just assume he's saying he can't do it.
Yes, well, that's what it was. But my question is, hey, why couldn't you give us the heads up before the freaking weekend? So maybe we could have recorded on Saturday or Sunday before you went to San Francisco on a field trip, so that Paul and I didn't have to try and stretch 40 minutes of podcast out of 0 minutes of content.
Corey, let me just say this. This is, audience, listeners, this is how dedicated I, Paul Packler, am. Because I know there are many of you, and I know that you count on us to produce content every week on every Thursday. Mm-hmm. This Saturday, I'm going to be going to the March for Our Lives, an historic protest, right? I'm going to Washington, D.C., and you know what's going to happen? I'm going to leave the march for an hour and a half, and Corey and I are going to record the final episode of Quality Time with Family Ties, just because I care.
Are you staying? You got a hotel room there in DC?
Yeah, I'm staying at the Watergate Hotel.
Are you really staying at the Watergate?
No, I'm not. No, that'd be cool though, right?
It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Where are you staying?
I forget what it's called, but it's somewhere down there.
Is Nikki going with you?
Yes, we're going to a bunch of museums and the protest.
What museums are you going to go to?
The Holocaust Museum, the African American Museum, the Smithsonian Portrait Gallery Museum, and then something else.
Just terrific. Those are
lots of depressing museums.
You know what? Griffin, who lives in DC, my eldest, just recently took his class to the African American Museum and said it was a very uplifting experience. Said it was just terrific.
Oh, well, that's good. I was expecting them all to just be very depressing and and earnest, but depressing at the end of it all.
And I believe maybe, I know it's going to be a small, intimate group protesting on Saturday, but you might run into Griffin and his wife. I know they'll be out there. And then he leaves the next day. You know what he does? It's spring break, in high school. So he takes his class on a civil rights trip. He takes them on a bus trip through the Deep South.
Oh, boy.
And they go to Montgomery and Mobile and Memphis, and they go to all the civil rights places, and they walk across the bridge together.
Is it taking the bus on purpose?
It's a great trip. And
is the taking the bus on purpose to be like the Freedom Riders? Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did in 64 and 65.
And then also because it's and then at the end of when they got back to DC last year, Representative John Lewis went and congratulated them, and they had pictures taken with Representative Lewis.
What? That's amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, he had contacts because they were going to be in his district. And they said that if he was home for Easter, his class would be honored if they could get together. And Representative Lewis said that he was unavailable, but he would love to get together with them in D.C. And then when they got back to D.C., his office called and said, hey, we'd love to have your class over and meet them.
Oh, so my God. I'm bowled over. He's one of the most amazing people ever.
Absolutely. That's what Griffin was like. This is like a dream come true for him. It was like, that's one of his heroes. And it's like, wow, this was great to get his class to go and meet them. And the kids were just totally blown away by it.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Boy, every time we come to a lull, I feel compelled to have to talk about the return of the native. That cousin, what was her name?
Her name was June, but the actress's name was Danielle von Zerneck.
Mm-hmm.
I recognized her and I looked her up, and she played Donna in the movie La Bamba with Lou Diamond Phillips, the film about Richie Valens.
Absolutely. Which
is one of the movies growing up as a little boy where I was like, oh, guys that look like me can go out with hot blonde girls. And so, it was like a trifecta of Teen Wolf, La Bamba, and what was the other one? Karate Kid. So I was just like, oh,
See, all La Bamba meant to me was that somebody can become successful coming from the San Fernando Valley.
Do you remember that movie? Does it hold up at all?
I don't remember it at all. I don't think I've ever seen it. I mean, obviously I'm aware of it because Lou Diamond Phillips snared an Oscar nomination out of nowhere for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was sort of surprising. This is a clip show, and you liked it because of the plot, because it had a plot, or did you like it because of the clips?
I thought I actually kind of thought, but I mean the big thing of this is I thought it was interesting that they actually had a plot that went. I thought that they had jokes that actually tied into the clips they were going to show. I thought they gave us some trivia that about certain subjects and characters that we remember from clips of yore, and I was like, oh, that was interesting at least. I thought that it was kind of there was some irony baked into this whole thing where it was like the Keatons all kind of suck and they won't listen to the story that cousin June is coming to tell them. And that all they can talk about is themselves. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fun because this show is so centric on these people. Even when other characters come in, it's about how it affects them. So I thought that was sort of ironic. It was a harken back to a different season of Family Ties when it was better. And Michael J. Fox's haircut was better. So that was it. Those were the things that I liked about this.
Rate and review our show on iTunes. If you like our show, oh, you mean we have to continue talking?
I mean, do you agree though with what I've said? I mean, you don't have to like those things, but those are marked improvements from other clip shows.
I paid very little attention to this show.
Well, I mean, I fast forwarded through all the clips, so I mean,
I got a good deal into a New Yorker magazine.
Those things don't read themselves. You really have to pay attention to that magazine.
You jump into it to get into this. So I got a good deal into a New Yorker.
What were you reading?
I don't even remember.
Some Jeffrey Tubin.
I found Family Ties so distracting that I could barely enjoy the New Yorker. I was pissed off at both the amount I was reading. I did nothing. I had the TV on. Family Ties was on. I was halfway on my phone. I was halfway into a New Yorker. And I started to write notes. And then the minute I realized that it was, as I so delicately, poetically, lyrically write on my paper, oh no, another fucking clip show. And then I was sort of fascinated with the fact that after each clip that had nothing to do in a show that virtually they kept on coming back to the question, so how was England, cousin June? And the answer to how was England, cousin June usually was Alex going, you know, when I ... continue talking about yourself, Alex, for just a moment. And then they would somehow or another show a clip about Alex. And then we'd come back, and Mallory, who, by the way, couldn't have been dumber in this episode. Yeah. I don't think it's possible for her to make her dumber. When she said at the beginning of the episode, in the most dreamy, romantic way, oh my God, did you meet the Queen? Really, Mallory? Come on. I know we're 3 years earlier. She's not 19. She's 16. But did you meet the Queen? You ask somebody who went to the United Kingdom if they met the Queen.
But at the same time, she asks June if she dated any dukes or princes. And I think the reason that they sat on this episode is because they took all these ideas and then literally went to England to shoot that mid-season summer film. Like, I mean, come on, Corey. There was a lot of beats that they hit that were actually plot points from the vacation movie.
The only other thing in this episode I found sort of interesting was the fact that Michael J. Fox had a cold that week.
Yeah.
Could you tell in his voice, it was very raspy.
Yeah, it was the first thing I noticed. He was very nasally.
Very nasal right off the bat. And I thought, and then it's funny, as soon as the clip show, one of my first thoughts was, gee, I wonder if they turned it into a clip show because Michael J. Fox just had a cold, but they can't do it that fast.
Yeah.
Boy. So we meet cousin June. Jennifer's out on a date, supposedly.
Mm-hmm. And they name drop the person that she was on the date with at the end of the episode, like when it's her turn to tell a story when she finally shows up, and she's like, "Oh, I met this boy Adam. Let me tell you about." And everyone's like, "Shut the fuck up!" Adam is the one that was the kid from the Neverending Story that was on her baseball team.
That's right.
I had to look it up. I wanted to make sure. I was like, is that a real character that we've met before? Because I've forgotten. But yes, it was Atreyu from the Neverending Story.
Oh, didn't he commit suicide in real life later on?
Oh my gosh, did he? I don't know.
Something tells me that he did.
The other kid from the Neverending Story Part 2, Jonathan Brandis, did.
That's who I'm thinking of.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Jonathan Brandis who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
You know, and the only other thing I was semi-amused by in this episode was that Chunk was in it again. In one of the clips, we had Chunk again.
Yeah.
And what was really funny was I told you last week that Logan booked a one-line bit on American Dad,
mm-hmm.
and he recorded it, and he plays a voice in an American Dad version of the Goonies. He says something about Chunk. His line is about Chunk.
Wow. Can I at the very least ask which character he played in the Goonies flashback or whatever?
He is
movie Goonies number 2.
Yeah, he's just a movie Goonie. He's at the Goonies.
Okay.
So the American Dad family is watching the Goonies.
Yeah, and he's a voice.
Goonies on screen on their TV.
I gotcha.
So I was amused by the fact that Chunk was in the episode. I was semi-amused by the fact that somebody else dropped by in this episode. Oh, of course, we got Jeff.
Jeff is back, our old friend, our old foe.
Most boring boyfriend, Jeff, the French instructor. Is he the French instructor, the French student?
Yeah, we're going all the way back to season 1 because we see Steven without a beard.
That's exactly what it all means to us. He showed up in one scene, and I thought, wow, we're going all the way back to season 1.
And then our favorite plot line, the sweet Lorraine shows up at one point too.
The end of Act 1 here, we get to Sweet Lorraine. Yes, the episode in which Alex considers, or does he actually sleep with a much older woman?
He tries to kiss her at one point at her house, and she recoils and says, I just want to be friends. But in this scene, I don't see it any other way that she's trying to sleep with Alex.
You're breaking up on me.
Oh, you were breaking up on me too. Hopefully someone heard that. But in the scene that we see, the clip that we see, she's definitely trying to put the moves on Alex. No, I'm losing you again.
You're very herky-jerky on my end.
Yeah, you too. Do you want to restart your computer again, maybe?
I will. I'm going to get off the call and we'll start up again.
Okay, cool.